Hello everyone and welcome to our today's new at Zenphi webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rosita. I'm Product Marketing Manager here at Zenphi, and I'm very excited to share with you our biggest announcements that we've been working on for a few plus months. So today we'll learn how to make the most out of those updates to supercharge your automation journey. But before we begin, let me quickly switch over my slides. Okay, so before we jump into exploring Zenphi's new features, I just wanted to quickly highlight a few housekeeping items. So first of all, the webinar will last about 30 minutes. During the session, we'll dive deep into how you can instantly benefit from the Zenphi updates. And our product team put lots of effort into building exactly what you need to succeed at your automation journey. So I encourage you to stick around. Secondly, this session is going to be recorded, so keep an eye on your inbox within 1 or 2 business days after this session. The next thing, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section. It's located at the bottom of your screen, and one of the team members will answer as we go. And the last thing, check the pinned message in the Q&A section as well to get access to some helpful resources that we've prepared for you. Now let's look through the features that we'll be learning about today. I guess the biggest update so far is new Spaces concept. With Spaces, you have completely redesigned the process automation experience, inspired and guided by our customers' feedback. Then we'll look into tables and dashboards, the most powerful and configurable way to get the insights and import metrics from your processes quickly and easily. The next thing, Jira and Asana integrations that will help you automate your task management. New way of working with the collections. Now it's a lot more easier, and I'm going to prove that for you in a few minutes. Task assignment. As you know, with Zenphi, you can easily assign tasks and receive the outcomes right inside Zenphi account. And now this experience has become much more smoother and enjoyable. I'll also share a few of my favorite tips and tricks that will speed up your automation experience and make it super simple. And finally, I'll answer all the questions that you have at the end of the session. But remember, you can ask in the chat as well. Okay, let's start with the spaces. You can think of a space as a container for all the assets related to your process. So when you're working on something huge and complicated as a process, you really need a good structure to organize it and navigate through it quickly. So how it was before. You sign up, you have a workspace, you can invite people to this workspace, but all the flows, all the tables, dashboards inside your workspace, they weren't structured, so you could have hundreds of flows all in one list, and it wasn't very easy to navigate through them. So basically, that's how it looked like before. And that's why we created spaces. So it's an essential block in how you build your processes. So now when you want to automate a process, for example, employee onboarding or expense approval or anything else, you go and create a space. And inside this space, you have everything related to it all in one place. Okay, so if you haven't worked with the spaces before, you may say something like, okay, this is great, but where are all my existing flows that I created earlier? How to find them? That's a really good question, and I'm gonna hover over to Zenphi account and show you how easily you can do that. Okay, so we are inside Zenphi account. Right on the first screen, when you sign in, you have a grid showing all the spaces you have. And one of the spaces that every one of you should have is the default space. That's a temporary space that we've created for you and where all of your existing work is stored. Later, if you haven't done that already, you can create new spaces just like I did and put the flows into them the way you need it. So let's open the default space and check if the flows that we've created are actually there. And we see that they are. So basically that's how the space will look like inside. It's very convenient to have the overview of all the assets related to this space, and from the left sidebar you will also have the list of all the flows, and if we click here we'll go to the page that is dedicated to the flows and where you can easily filter them and manage them. So now when I want to move one of these flows into a new space, what I do is I go to spaces, click on create a new space. So for example, it can be document automation. I'll launch it. So as you can see, it's an empty space right now. We don't have anything here. And I go to flows. On the right top corner, you will have this button that says move flow to this space, and I'm clicking on it. And I'm just selecting the flow. Here I will see the list of all the flows that I have in all the spaces, including the default space. I can also use the search bar, and I'm gonna search for simple document approval, and I'm clicking on move. Okay, so the flow is there. I can do the same thing with the tables. Let's do that. The only difference here would be that if I am moving the flow from one space to another, it means that this flow will stay only in one space, right? But with tables, you can link one table to multiple spaces. And again, I'm moving to the right top corner and I'm finding this linking button. And I'm selecting the tables. So I'm interested in this one, IDP. I'm clicking on save. And I can see that it was successfully linked. And if I click here on the table, I can see all the other spaces that this table is linked to. So as you can see, it can be multiple spaces. Alright, so as you can see, it literally takes you a few minutes to organize a space, and we hope that you enjoy these enhancements. Okay, we'll be exploring more and more about spaces capabilities as we go, but now I want to focus on the tables and dashboards. So tables and dashboards are the most powerful and configurable way to get insights or metrics from your processes. So how it was before, you automate a process, for example, document approval, and it's all good, it's up and running, but for us, it's actually a black box, and we don't really understand what's happening inside this process, like how many documents were approved so far, how many were rejected, how much time does it usually take to approve one document, and all the other questions that are really important for us to understand if we want to improve and optimize this process performance. So tables and dashboards give you this opportunity and kinda open up this box for you. Now we can answer all these questions, and the setup of the tables and dashboards, it's a super simple process. And now I'm gonna prove that to you. So let's look through one very short process automation, and we'll create a few dashboards for this process together. Okay, now we are back into Zenphi account, and let's open this space example. Okay, and as we usually do, let's start with the flow. Okay, let's edit it. So this process starts with the trigger. This trigger is Google Drive file uploading. As always, I'm just checking the connection, and I'm gonna choose what the folder I want to monitor for the new documents to be processed. Then once the document is uploaded, I'm gonna assign a task. The outcomes for this task is going to be approved or rejected, and here I'm just creating an email that will notify the assignee about new task. Then, according to the outcome of this task, we're creating two branches. So the first branch is going to be when the document was approved, and the next branch is when the document was rejected. So after we have received the outcome for this task, I want to log some information about this document, whether it was approved or rejected, what is the time when it was approved or rejected, when was the time when it was initially requested, and other things like that. So for that, I'm going to create a table. Okay, so let's save our flow and go back to the space. And as you can see, now it's really easy to navigate within the space with these breadcrumbs. So we just click in here and go to tables. So let's open one of the tables that I've created earlier. So here in the columns, I'm just mapping out what is the information that I want to take out from this process. So for example, I'm interested in this document name, in the document status, how many days it took to approve this document. I'm gonna need the document link, the request time, the response time, and the manager. So when I want to take out some information, I'm just creating a column for this data, and this is it. Yeah, it's a super simple and super quick process. Now let's go back to the flow. And now we are going to configure those branches. And let's start with the branch when the document was approved. So when I want to take some data out, I'm just going to go to the table section and create record action. So what it means is that once the document was approved, it automatically creates a record in the Zenphi table that I've just showed you and map out all the information that we need. So let's see how it's done. Okay, firstly we need to choose the table, it's document statuses. And here we are specifying what are the fields that we want to be filled in with the creation of this record. And actually I'm just gonna choose all of the fields that we have, and with the help of a token picker I'm gonna take the information from our trigger and from our assign a task action and move this data to the fields. So let me quickly do that. Okay, document name, I'm gonna take that from the trigger, and I'll take file name. Document status, we're gonna take that from the ask for approval action, and it's gonna be this text format. Okay, the next field is days to approve, and we also gonna take that from the action. We're gonna go to the duration collection and choose in days. So as you can see, it's going to be returned in the number format. Okay, document link, we're going to take that from the trigger. We can take the view link. We can actually choose download link, but let's stay with the view link for this use case. Request time from the trigger. And it's going to be, where is it? Yeah, created time. And the response time we take from the action. Alright, and we can just choose the manager from the drop down for this example. And we do the same thing for the false branch when the document was rejected. So this is it. You don't have to do anything else, but yeah, let's rename that to log document info. All right. So now let's save our flow. And we're gonna test it and see it in action. Let's click on the test run. And as far as we already have some files into the folder that I've selected in the trigger, I'm gonna choose that. All right, let's choose November report and click on start. From the left sidebar in the test session section, we're gonna see how the steps are performing. So yeah, it sent the task for us to approve. And let me switch to the email inbox to see if it's there. Okay, I can see that I have a task. Let's open that. And yeah, we see the link to the document and we see the possible outcomes. So let's click on the approved. All right. And now what we see is happening in Zenphi. The document was approved and the information about this document was logged to the table. So let's close the session and go to the table to see whether it was added. Alright, so as you can see, the last record in this table is our November report. We see that the status was approved. It took 0 days to approve because we just did that. So we see that everything is correct. It's a document link, response time, and manager. Okay, very good. So as you can see, this works just like any other database that you can probably use, like Google Sheet. But the beauty of that is that you don't need to manage this table at all. It's managed automatically, and that's really fantastic, and it saves you so much time. So we already have some impressive data from this process. It's not a black box for us at all right now. We understand what's happening with each of the documents that was requested. But what if we want to highlight some of the metrics in the dashboards and share it with the manager, the stakeholders of this process? So for that, we're going to be using dashboard pages. So to create it, let's click here. So let's name it something like process performance. Oops. Alright, we can change the icon to something more suitable, and I'm gonna change the color as well. Okay, so for the performance, I actually gonna be using this star. Alright. So basically right now we've created the page where we can add as many widgets as we need. And widgets, it's just something like charts in Google Sheet. So let's create one of the widgets and you'll see it yourself. Okay, yeah, so that's all the options that we have. We can display just one number. So for example, how many documents were approved or how many documents were processed. But right now, what I want to do is I want to create a series chart. Alright, so you can name this chart if you want, but we don't need that, so we just turn off this option. And here we need to choose what is the table that we want to take the information from. Okay, document statuses, clicking on save. Okay, so what I want to display is I want to see how many days on average it takes for each manager to approve a document. So for that, I'm gonna click on horizontal view, and on the horizontal view we need to have the list of the managers. So let me find the needed column, and a function would be top values. Yeah, we have only 3 managers, so that's gonna work. And for the vertical one, I'm gonna choose the number of days. Yeah, and we also can display it as a bar or as a line. I'm staying with the bar. And for the function, I'm gonna choose the average. Okay, let's click on save and see how it goes. Wonderful. So right now I can see that the best performer is the manager number 1. It takes only 1 day for them to approve the document, and we can see the same information for other managers. Let's click on save and create a few more widgets. So right now I just wanted to create a pie chart with the display of a manager's workload. So how many documents are processed by each manager. So yeah, again, I'm turning off the title because I don't need it. Choosing the table. Okay, and for the slice, I'm gonna choose manager. And size by manager as well. We're gonna choose count because we want to have information about all the documents. Alright, so I can see that manager number 1, they have 3 documents. Here we have 2, and here we have 1. And also we can change the styles a bit. So let's choose this one. Alright, and I'm gonna click on save. And the last thing that I wanted to show you would be a simple metric. So here, again, I'm choosing the table. And here I just want to know how many documents were approved overall. So I need a total number. And I'm clicking on add a widget metric. I'm interested in document status, and I'm interested in all the documents. So 6 is the number of all the documents that were requested, no matter if it was approved or rejected. So for us to understand how many were approved, we need to scroll down a bit and add a condition. So we're just indicating that we need the document status to be exactly approved. And I'm just gonna type this in. Okay, I can see that from 6 documents, I have 4 of them approved. And in this title field, I'm gonna change that to approved. Alright, so as you can see, within literally a few minutes, I've created 3 beautiful dashboards. And even with these dashboards, I can already see what's going on in my process, and I can take some action. Okay, so I hope that gave you an overall idea of how you can get insights from your processes. That's really one of my favorite things in Zenphi. It really works as charts in Google Sheets, but without manually configuring anything. So you just set it up once and you have live updates of everything that's happening in your processes. I know many of you already use tables and dashboards, but if you haven't already, I highly recommend to try this out, as I'm 100% sure that it's gonna make your automation journey a lot more easier. Okay, now let's briefly talk about tasks. So, as you know, with the assign task action, you can assign tasks to people inside and outside your organization. So, if the person that you assign task to doesn't have Zenphi account, they can just respond to it via email, just like we did when we reviewed our document approval process. But if you collaborate inside Zenphi, now it's very handy to do that. So let's go to our document processing flow, and we're gonna assign task to ourselves just to see how it will look like from the assignee side. Okay, as you can see, I have my own email that I'm logged in with Zenphi currently. And we're gonna launch our test run. Let's choose a file and click on start. Perfect, we now see that the task has been assigned. And let's go to this left sidebar and see if we have any tasks. Okay, here we go. So we can see this small notification over there that we have a task to process. And when we click on this, here we can approve it, we can reject it, and we can even left a comment. So let's do that. And click on approved. Okay, our response successfully submitted, and that's how you can easily manage the tasks inside your Zenphi account. Okay, the next update that I'm very excited about is our new integrations. So now you can seamlessly integrate Jira and Asana, which are probably the most popular project management tools. And with Zenphi, you can automate your task workflow completely. So let's go and check a couple of Jira automation scenarios. So let's find this space for Jira use cases. All right, and the first scenario that I wanted to show you would be automatically generating report with the specified Jira issues into your Google Sheets. So let's open the flow. So it's very convenient if you want to have the data in your sheets and you don't have to export and import it manually. You just create a flow that it's triggered on schedule and automatically exporting the Jira issues. Okay, so as you can see, this is a very simple flow. The trigger is our timer trigger, and we want to run it every day. You can choose every week, you can choose every month, whatever is suitable for you. And then we're gonna use search issue action. So if you want to find it, you just scroll down to Jira section and find the search issue action. And then for each of these issues that we are exporting, we're gonna create a new record inside a specified Google Sheets. Right, and if we want to dive deep into how these actions are set up, so it's very easy process. You just connect your Jira account from the connection field. You're choosing Jira Cloud, and then we want to tell Zenphi what Jira issues we're interested in. And for that, we go to condition, and in this example, I'm interested in Jira issues that are connected to a specific project that I'm specified over there. All right, and here I'm just indicating what are the fields that I want to return, what are the fields that I want to be imported to Google Sheets. Then we're gonna use for each item action that is gonna take each of the Jira issues that we have in our project And here we're adding Google Sheet action, which is called add row. Again, we just connect our Google Sheet account. We're choosing the file, the sheet name, and here with the token picker, we're mapping out the information from our search issue action to these values. All right, so just like that, in a few minutes, you can automate the process of generating the report, and you can have a fresh daily report of all Jira issues that you have in a specified Jira project. And if you know Zenphi, you can imagine the endless possibilities that are open up for you here within this flow. You can easily create Google Slides from the information that you have inside your Google Sheets, or you can easily generate a Google Doc. So whatever you want to do and whatever you want to automate within the Google Workspace, you can easily do that. Okay, the next scenario is creating a new Jira issue once the Google form is submitted. So let me go back to our Jira use cases space and open this flow for you. So this one is especially useful if you want to reduce the costs of your Jira subscription. As you may know, they charge you per user seat. So if you want to collaborate with your developer team, if you want to raise a support ticket, for example, on Jira, looks like you need to create an account to all your support managers or for your internal business users. Plus, you'll need to educate them how to use this tool. So instead, if you want to automate your help desk requests, you can create a familiar environment for the requesters. So for example, allow them to raise a support issue right from Google Form, or even just by sending an email. So in this case, we're gonna go with the Google Form submission. Let's click on that. So as always, we choosing or creating a Google Form connection, selecting a form. You should create it prior. And below in the form controls section, we'll see all of the data that will be transferred from this Google form to the action of our choice. And the action of our choice would be create issue from the Jira section. So how are we gonna create this issue? We're choosing the Jira connection and Jira account. Then we should specify what is the project, where we want to store this created issue. The issue type, it's gonna be task or epic. And then we're just filling in the summary, the description of this issue, the due date, and all the other important information. And another integration that we recently added is Asana. The logic behind Asana integration is very similar to Jira integration. As you can see, you can manage almost anything you have in your Asana account. So you can manage your tasks, your project, your teams, users. You can even manage the workspace automatically from there. So you have all the freedom for your automation. And just as Jira, it is so powerful and customizable and easy to use at the same time. So you literally won't find anything so powerful in any other automation tools out there. All right, the last update that I wanted to talk about today is the new way of how you can work with collections. For that, I just need to switch to another flow. So for those of you who are not familiar with the collections is just one of the formats of the output data that you can get from the trigger or from the actions. So for example, the output of this action, which is read rows from Google Sheets, would be the number. Yeah, if you see this icon, it means that the output would be just a simple number. and it's going to be number of rows returned from the sheet. And also, if we check what's going to be the output from our trigger, which is a Zenphi form, we can see that here we have some IP address, submit time, email, and by this icon we can understand that this is a text format. But you can also face these brackets. So these brackets means that the output of this trigger would be a collection of items. The same goes for the output from the read employees list, from read rows from Google Sheet. So as far as there are multiple rows in this Google Sheet, Zenphi is going to return the collection. And once we click here on the drop-down list, we'll see the items that are located in this collection. So let's review this flow example. So let's say that this flow is triggered once somebody submits a form, and then the flow will read the records from the Google Sheet where we store, for example, information about our employees. And for that, we're just gonna use this action. We're gonna make the connection, and here we will specify whether we need to read all the rows or just a specific range. And from there, we can see that we're going to return email and the department. So now I want to take only the employees from a specific department and send the list of all those employees via email, for example. And the way I can do that is I'm going to use a query collection action. And that's how it looks. And here in the collection, I specified that I need the collection that was taken out of this Google Sheet. And now to be able to take out only specific employees from specific department, I'm gonna switch over to enable filtering. And here in the filter, I'm gonna say that where department equal to A. So this query collection is a super quick and easy way to get the specified information from the range of items. So if you're familiar with collections, you probably know that before that action, you should have used project collection action. But right now, you don't have to do it. All you need is query collection. So that's a huge benefit because you don't have to make any extra steps within your flow. Okay, so those were all the updates that I wanted to share with you. I hope that they were useful. So now it's time for your questions. Feel free to post a question to the chat and I'll answer right away. Okay, I'm just checking if we have any questions in the chat already, and yes, seems like we have one. So if I need to restore the previous version of my flow, how can I do it if possible? Yes, absolutely, you can easily do that, and to be honest, that's one of my favorite features in Zenphi. And let me actually switch in my Zenphi account and I will show you how you can do that. Alright, so let's quickly create a flow. Let's choose a trigger, let it be on demand. Okay, so once we have created the flow, so that's actually our first version of it. So if we go to this top right corner, we'll see this small button which says flow revisions. So let's click over there and we see that we have the first draft version of our flow. Now what we can do is we can add a new action. For example, something from Asana. Let's take get user information action. I'm clicking on save and let's check our flow revisions. Okay, as you can see, Zenphi went and created the second version of the flow. Now let's make some changes to the flow quickly. So for example, let's add this one. So let's click on save, and that's gonna be the third version of our flow. So if I go here to flow revisions again, I see that I have 3 of them, and I want to restore the second version when we have only one action. And what I'm gonna do is just I'm clicking on here and confirm my action. Okay, as you can see, we have returned to the second version of our flow when we have only one get user information action. So yeah, super quick and easy. Okay, so let me see if we have anything to answer to. Alright, new question. So how to know if the automation is running? So if I understood your question correctly, you're interested in the flow runs. And let me show you that on our space example. So let's open our document approval process. And once we click on it, we see the recent runs. So it means that all the files that have been uploaded to this Google Drive have been processed in Zenphi, and each file is a new flow run. And here on this screen you can see how many flow runs were completed, how many were faulted, and if there was a fault you will get a notification in the email about that, so you can have a chance to fix it. Yeah, so basically that's your place to have an analytics about how your flow is running. And also you can actually have even more information inside your recent runs, and let me show you how you can do that. So let's go and edit this flow. Okay, so if we go to the actions and search for set run name action, so that's gonna help you to identify each of your flow runs specifically. So that's very useful. And let's set this up. So you can attach this action to any of the steps inside your flow. It's gonna work. And here you're just gonna name this flow run. So to make it unique for each flow run, we should use the token picker. So for example, we can say that this flow run is going to be the document, and we're going to use the file name, or we can even use a file ID, but let's stick with the file name. Okay, let's make sure that we have a space here. Alright, so each time the document will start processing, it is gonna give it a name. And let's test that. Alright, clicking on the test run and choosing a file again. Okay, we can see that the set run name action is processed. Okay, so now if we exit this flow, we can see that one of the flow runs is in process, and that's exactly the flow run that we have just triggered. And as you can see, instead of this number that we saw over there, it gave a unique name. So we understand that the November report is now being processed. So yeah, you have an overview of all the documents that are processing right here with this action. Okay, I can see that we have a few more questions, but unfortunately the time of our webinar has come to an end. But no worries, we'll answer to you all the questions that are left via email. And again, thank you so much for joining this webinar. I really hope you got some great ideas for you about how to improve your automations and how to make them more efficient. Keep an eye on your inbox for the recording. Also, once you exit the webinar, you will see a survey. Would be very grateful if you could fill it in, and that will hopefully make our next webinar better for you. And yeah, if you have any questions, please get in touch with us through support chat on our website or through success@zenphi.com. We'll be super happy to help you. All right, have a wonderful day or night. It was a pleasure hosting this webinar, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.